and thank you so much for tuning in to KBTV. I'm Dr. Karlisha Booz. For this Wellness Wednesday segment, we're talking about caregivers, and today we are joined by Cynthian Hartfield. She's a lead chaplain at Piedmont Macon, and she's here to just give us some interesting facts and responsibilities that caregivers should know about. So thank you so much for joining us, Cynthian.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So first thing first, what are or who are caregivers?
A caregiver can be anyone that has the primary responsibility of taking care of either a loved one, or if it can be their profession where they're hired to come in and take care of someone, not necessarily just a sitter, but who's responsible for taking care of that person's needs, whether it's bathing, feeding them, cooking for them, whatever that family has or that person has need of. That's the caregiver's position. For a family member, it's somewhat different than if you are coming to a hospital or you're going to a nursing home or going out to someone's house. For a family member, you are it. You are the Uber driver, the nurse, the tech, and you do everything. You're responsible for it. And one of the most important things that I found in being a caregiver myself or my family, once, of course, your parents get older, you find yourself being the primary caregiver, and you're responsible for all those things to make sure they've had good hygiene, they're eating a balanced meal, they are getting their meds on time. All those things are things that a caregiver can give. And also to support them mentally, because a lot of times they're get a little depressed because they can't do things that they used to do, and you need to encourage them. You got to be a motivator to tell them, you can do it, come on, we can do it together. So you're going to be their biggest cheerleader. But one of the most important things that a caregiver sometimes forget, we get so wrapped up in providing care for someone else that we forget about ourselves. And if you have family, you've got a spouse, you got to find that balance between your family, the person that you are responsible for. And sometimes it can be a bit much, and you got to make sure that you take time for self, because self-help, and when you give yourself a time to breathe and you can find that balance, it'll go a lot smoother for you, especially because it's very time consuming in being a caregiver, and it's a big responsibility.
Wow, I can believe it. So like you just mentioned, it's a big responsibility. Why is it so important to have that balance?
Because if you don't, you'll get burned out, and you want to have patience because sometimes it can be very tiring. It's very trying mentally for you. Sometimes the patient themselves can be, it's different. They know they can't do it. They're angry because they can't do it. And sometimes they are not angry, but they just refuse to do it, and they want you to do everything. So you've got to encourage them. You've got to say, oh, you can do it. You want to, as I said before, you want to be their biggest cheerleader, to encourage them to try to do things as much as they can for themselves. Right. But if you don't find time for balance for yourself, for your family, and for the person that you're responsible for, you'll find yourself getting burned out. And you don't want to have a snappy attitude. You want to have a sweet and kind attitude, and whomever you are taking care of, because they have to depend on you. And one day we might find ourselves in that same position.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Hartfield, what are some things that you recommend that caregivers can do just to balance? Maybe what I would say the top 3 things that they can do when trying to find that balance.
Make a schedule and stick to it. If you can make a schedule to say, on these days, I'm responsible for this, this, this. If you're responsible for cooking, you want to meal prep so that you don't find yourself getting burnt out. When am I going to the grocery store for the person I'm responsible for? Or if you are working for a company, then they have people. You are the person that's going to the grocery store, perhaps doing that, or you are the person counting out the medications. But if you have a schedule, and you can look on the schedule and you can have a check-off list of the things that you need to do during the day, you will be more likely to complete your daily tasks, and you won't let any stone go unturned. Of course, things always come up, and we have things unexpected to happen. But if you have a list, a check-off list, if you work for a company, they usually give their aides a list of things that they are supposed to do. And the patient checks it off, and then they call in and tell them, well, I've completed this at the end of their day. But if you're a caregiver for your family member, you need to have that same list as well. And that helps you, helps the patient. And even if something happens, if the doctor has to come in or a paramedic, you can say, oh, well, we've done this. These are the meds. You need to have a list of their medications readily at hand. You need to have a list if they're allergic to different things. And if you stay focused on that list and use that checkoff list every day, it will just make your life a whole lot easier.
That's awesome. Well, I do know that Piedmont Macon, you guys are hosting a caregivers symposium that's happening on Thursday, September 21st at Forest Hills Church. So this is open to the public and it's free, correct? So there they'll be able to, get questions answered, or even people that are thinking about, being caregivers. Will they have an opportunity to ask questions and just to prepare themselves as they begin their new journey?
Of course, of course. And if it's someone that's thinking about maybe doing that as an occupation, that will be a good time to come in and get a feedback. We will have vendors on hand to tell them different things that they can find or they will need to know how to do. We will, Dr. Vigoro is our keynote speaker this year, and he's always willing to answer questions. And we encourage people to come out because it's informative and Piedmont wants to be involved in the community. And we try to put on these types of seminars so that we can be a resource for the community, not just Macon, but surrounding areas as well.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we'll make sure we post all this information on our website, carlybtv.com.
What's happening weekend on KBTV? And this your boy Country Wayne.
Hey everybody, this is Tamala Man, and I'm rolling with Carly BTV.
Hi, I'm yours truly, Atlanta's own MC Lifey, and I want to let you know I'm all the way live with Carly BTV. That way, the long way. I'm always Carly BTV. Peace up and A-Town down.
Yo, this is Henry Wells, the most feared man in comedy. Street T, all the way live on Carly BTV. I'm here, baby. Check them out.
Hey, yo, what's up? I'm Tony Terry, all the way live on Carly BTV. You heard me?
Poker Bear, all the way live on Carly BTV. You understand me? You gonna learn today, babe.